As far as, let's say that somebody is hitting it solid, and they are doing the divot work and they're training with it and you're doing great, but then they're like, man, it's higher or lower. Where would you then go with trajectory? How would you get somebody to play with that?
Trajectory is pretty fun. Lots of different ways to get the trajectory to go higher and lower. I'm gonna go over the very basic one to start, right? So if I wanna hit a golf ball lower, one of the things that I could do is, I could move the ball back in my stance. Right, so when I move the ball back in my stance, what ends up happening is this club shaft ends up leaning a little bit more forward, and you can see when the club shaft ends up leaning more forward that I'm taking the loft off the golf club when I do that. So since I'm moving the ball back and the shaft is leaning forward, that ball's going to launch lower.
So ball position would be one thing that we could do?
Ball position's super simple, right? Or I could go forward, and forward will make it go higher, and then there's somewhere in between. So I can play around with ball position.
Very good. So in a lot of the same way that we just talked about the divot is, you would move the ball position around as a way to train it and understand balls higher, balls lower.
You got it.
Very good. What's another simple way that we could do trajectory training?
It's kind of fun on the launch monitor. Sometimes I just use visualization. So I'll look low on the screen, I'll look high on the screen, I'll look somewhere in between. And it's always amazing to me to see how my body just responds to where I'm looking.
Very good. So take the most obvious things and use those first, rather than get in the weeds and get confused. So you could visualize it just hitting low on the screen, or under a tree, if you will, or over the tree, or higher on the screen.
You got it.
Yeah, so a lot of times, so we say the ball is the teacher at B-Golf. When we have our students do this, it's shocking how the ball responds to that intention, yeah?
Yeah.
Very good. And then a third way that somebody could play with trajectory would be?
We talked a little bit about it earlier, the whole shaft lean concept, right? So the more you lean a shaft forward, the lower it's gonna go. The more you lean a shaft backwards, the higher it's gonna go, and then there's somewhere in between. So I could play around with that in the setup position if I wanted to, or as I'm coming down into impact, I could feel like I'm gonna try to lean the shaft more, I'm gonna try to lean the shaft less. So I would definitely play around with different amounts of shaft lean with each one of my clubs to see how much I can influence the trajectory.
So you're just playing with that at the setup and during the swing motion, yeah?
Most definitely.
Very good. So one disclaimer, when you do this, if you do this activity with your sand wedge versus your 4-iron as an example, don't be surprised if those intentions need to be different to get the ball to do what you're looking to do, because the tools are different, they have different amounts of lean, so on and so forth,
Yeah, that's one thing, like in a perfect world out on the PGA Tour, the neat thing about those guys is they launch their wedges low and they hit their long irons high.
Very good. Simple way to clean up your contact and your trajectory is with your, let's say, 8-iron down, just try to hit it low. Right, 8-9, pitching wedge, sand wedge, so on and so forth. And with your 5-6-iron, 4-iron, try to hit it higher and watch how a lot of these issues clean up. Very good. So we thank you for dropping us the questions. If you have any more questions and we can help you, give us a shout, and we'd be more than happy to put a video together. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.